Opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello, everyone, and welcome to another weekly episode of Scarefest TV as we wind down the year. The original broadcast date, of course, is December 23rd, 2022, Christmas Eve, if you might. And Georgia, and it's like between 0 and 10 degrees, according to which suburb you're in. Here in central Kentucky, we're at a nice... What are we down to, probably? 5 below now? I should look at that.
Oh, man, it's colder than a witch's. Never mind.
Yeah, you can say tit on this show. I'm, matter of fact, after the first of the year, I'm going to put...
Christina taught me that.
I'm going to put a big mature audience only at the beginning of the show. Because I'm going to tell y'all, people, that's why I'm literally wearing flannel tonight for a reason. I came up here, and my office is upstairs. My studio is upstairs. And it's cold up here, so even the heat from the house is not keeping the upstairs of my house warm, and it just sucks ass. Now, for the record, the fans of the show, the fans north of the Ohio River, that means this is heavy coat weather. So, we got that down. Hey, mark that goes.
Funny story.
Sure.
I lived in Cincinnati for a long time, and I thought I'd be used to this by now.
Yeah, but see, Cincinnati, okay, they're roughly usually 5 or 10 degrees below where I live, sometimes or 10 degrees hotter, depending on which time of year it is. I grew about halfway between Lexington and Cincinnati, so, you know, I'm a moderate in that respect. No, you do not get used to anything below 20 degrees. I'm sorry. Maybe if you were Canadian or North Dakotan.
You dated my ex. Yes, I went there.
I just got back from Germany, and it was in the negatives there, and now I'm back to the same thing. Negatives.
Well, at least it wasn't shock to you.
Well, still, it was colder than Snowman's ass. Like,
I don't think she expected it.
No, I was like, finally, I won't have to, freeze my face off.
Well, if you just stayed till next Wednesday, it's supposed to all go away.
Yeah,
we're back to. Anyway, sorry about that, everybody. We've been kind of off on a tangent here.
She's big on global, on climate change and studying it and everything. You know, she'll go on at that tangent.
Yeah,
well,
completely ruin a podcast.
Oddly,
I'm sorry.
Oddly, not the weirdest thing we've talked about on this show dealing with the horror and paranormal industry. Incidentally, everybody, now Will and Christina, they have a little podcast called the K&A Show. It is basically, it's not strictly paranormal by any means. I love the blurb here. Wait a minute, let me do this first. I think you all will be able to hear it. Love the intro music. Sit down and talk about everything. They sit down and they talk about everything on their minds. Food, paranormal investigations, review some of the craziest films, and drink lots of coffee. So, that's the premise behind their show. But now, when they came to Scarefest, everybody, they got approved in the first round because they were talking about the Men in Black. The Men in Black. Not the movie, although I did love the movie. First one, yes. Second. The newest one, not so much. Anyway, so Men in Black. I know. See, this would be a great opportunity to educate me. I know about the phenomenon. I know nothing actually about the phenomenon. In other words, I don't know the history.
But
I don't. I don't. It's nothing that I've ever reached down that rabbit hole. So kind of give us an outline of what you talked about in your presentation, and then I'll try to come up with witty and profound questions.
Well, we start off with the history, like the first UFO sightings that had Men in Black. And Christina, that was like Christina's main part, because she went down that rabbit hole. And it was pretty interesting. I think what was the first one was in the 40s or before that?
Yeah, it was about 1947, maybe around 43.
Yeah, it was a UFO that melted the boat, killed a dog and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I want to say that could have been, yeah, I think that was the first known recorded encounter with MIB, was that incident, which wasn't exactly a happy incident. It was about this old man and his son. They're just going fishing with their dog out on the lake, and all of a sudden they look up in the sky and they see about 5 to 6, discs, and they're like, what is this? We're talking about in the 40s here. And all of a sudden these round discs, they released some type of lava type stuff. That's kind of how they described it. And it came down, hit their boat, burned both him and his son, killed his dog. They both had been sent to the hospital. And it was probably the next day the MIB came to interrogate them. And man, that was, geez, they just lost their dog. They're in the hospital, got these wounds. Oh, you better not talk about these things or worse things will happen to you. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah. So that was in June of 1947 when that happened. So yeah, and it just kind of spiraled from there. And they generally, yeah.
I was just gonna say, now is just based on what little bit I pick up, and that's mostly listening to podcasts. Is this based on your evaluation of the sightings and stories? Are we saying that this is a clandestine, super secret government agency? Are we saying it's something more nefarious, or that? And I tell you how bad I am. I'm not even willing to say it's still not government related, because I'm kind of leaning towards the whole conspiracy theory that like 2/3 of our government are lizard people, and So in other words, you're not going to go off the rails here with me.
Hey, I'm not totally against your theory. I work for some of those people. I'm creatures, but anyway.
Yeah, that's actually one of the couple of theories out there, because nobody really knows where these MIB come from. What are they associated with? Some people, their descriptions kind of indicate that there could be a Nordic species of alien, that they're not human, they're inhuman. And generally the vibe from them is that they're trying to cover up anything linked to UFOs, aliens, and they think, well, just to kind of keep the whole thing under wraps so people don't, kind of discover that these things are real.
Yeah, in our talk, I kind of put it in a nutshell, where from our investigation, we seem to think that they're alien races and that somehow the government got these guys working for them.
Yeah, that there could be some type of links to it. They might be working together. Don't know, but it's definitely a possibility.
Okay, mild tangent off that. Are you of the mind that the recent disclosure, if you will, the Air Force actually gave us fucking photos. Do you think they're trying to, at this point, they're past trying to cover it up, and now they're trying to prepare us for something?
I think that, and I also think there's a little bit of a distraction. In other words, pay attention to this while we're doing this back here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the reason is that when you start getting, I don't know how many of the listeners out there like digging into the MUFON papers and MUFON website when they release stuff. The sightings now, the UFO sightings, are actually very much Close Encounters of the Third Kind now, that they're meeting things. And now a lot of the Bigfoot sightings are connected with UFO sightings directly, almost at the same time. Like you'll have a Bigfoot sighting in Blue Ridge, Georgia, and one town over LJ, they have a UFO sighting at the same time. So there's stuff going on that's just not like how it used to be, where you'd have a bunch of UFO sightings and then you'll have a cryptid sighting. And that's the other thing. The Men in Black are not just dealing with UFOs; they're dealing with cryptids too. Like there's far more reports of Men in Black with Mothman than there really are with UFOs.
See, now I was not aware of that. I remember that from your little show, the speaker blurb, and I was not aware that was part of the connection.
Yeah.
Now, are you talking about the classic Mothman story or one of these peripheral ones?
Yes.
The classic Mothman story.
Both, actually both, but we talk a lot about the original Mothman sightings because there's a lot of evidence in that one, but a lot of the newer Mothman sightings have Men in Black reports too. The thing is the newer sightings are a lot of them are questionable. But the thing is that there are Men in Black sightings with them, which makes me think that the MIB are showing up to see if these are legit sightings or not. But there's this whole new rabbit hole I fell into with Mothman about it being a genetic experiment gone wrong that the government did back during World War II. Like they may have hired, how everyone Operation Paperclip hired the Nazis to send us into space. I'm just wondering if they hired people like Mengele and stuff like that, or people similar to him, did some type of thing, and we ended up getting Mothman. So I don't know, but that's a new rabbit hole. I don't have much on it. Tripped into that one recently.
I mean, can't put it past them. They actually tried to. We know they tried to breed monkeys and people. So weirdness abounds. We've got time.
They did that.
Tell me, give me the quick synopsis of where. Okay, because I don't remember it from the movie. I never read the book because that would actually take more than 2 hours. Where did the Men in Black fall into the Mothman, the classic story with Richard Gere?
Okay, the one, and you got to remember, the movie with Richard Gere is based on the book. It actually goes into many different directions the book is more like a straightforward telling of the Mothman sighting in West Virginia. Now, after the original sightings, they ended up showing up into the newspaper office in was it Point Pleasant or was it Wheeling? I can't remember.
Yeah, I thought it was Point Pleasant.
Okay. They show up and start threatening the editor and one of the journalists. And the editor and the journalist report on it is just weird. Like these people didn't fit in their clothes. They had bright red lips because they were trying to draw lips on their face. And they had superhuman strength.
Just wait, let me just lay that. Demonstrated how?
Go ahead, Christina.
So I guess one time they were kind of like in the office with them, and I guess I don't know, they must have had it. I don't know why they did this, but he got a little angry and slammed his fist onto one of the filing cabinets and made a dent in the filing cabinet.
And that was back. Yeah. That was several years ago, so they knew how to make filing. It wasn't an IKEA filing cabinet. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't the paper thin ones we got now.
Okay.
Made out of beer cans.
Yeah, and so when John Keel was actually doing research on the Mothman for his book, this is in 1975, after everything kind of happened there, and then it kind of went away. He kept getting kind of harassed with MIB, and honestly, I was kind of confused why he just kind of said, "Screw it, I'm gonna write a book. I'm not gonna listen to you." So I guess he got out, scot-free with not getting Yeah. So, but yeah, he definitely reported that he got interrogated by them.
Then we have some of the Mothman victims also got interrogated by MIB in their homes and were literally threatened, some of them with their lives, by the MIB.
Oh yeah.
And other ones were kind of attacked, like pushed across rooms and stuff like that. And these were all happening in the same time, like in the late 60s, early 70s. But that, to me, that's not the craziest story of the MIB. We have that Arthur guy.
Are you talking about Albert Bender?
Well, tell you what, okay. One question about that, the previous segment, and then we'll go into that. First, we're going to go to the shameless promotion that I'm famous for. Everybody, BlueLeafNaturals.com, longtime supporter of the show, BlueLeafNaturals.com. This week I'm talking about their Blue Dream Sleep Formula with melatonin and lavender. I've tried this stuff. Once again, I am going to tell you, for me, it seemed to work. I.e., I was one of those people that could not, when I laid down in bed, I could not shut down. I'd be awake, laying in bed, no matter how tired I was, for an hour or 2 hours. Started using this. Come to find out, though, I just read the directions on the website. I was using too much of it. Not that I am not condoning that. I am not condoning that. Anyway, indulge yourself while benefiting from better rest with the combination of our purely natural, complete blue leaf hemp flower extracts, bursting with highly concentrated cannabinoid. They use the other word, and I can't pronounce it right. And blended with vitamin-packed MCT coconut oil, as well as a touch of lavender and melatonin to help you relax. So it's got CBD, it's got the melatonin, which is famous for putting you to sleep, lavender, which is supposed to relax you. Give this stuff a try and do it before the end of the year while they have the 2-for-1 sale. You order one, they're going to ship you 2. And Blue Dream Sleep Formula, look that up under their shop link on their website, BlueLeafNaturals.com. I highly suggest their products. Now, the little tangent that hit me.
Oh, I'm thinking about eating turkey and smoking weed.
Let's face it, we all are. The little tangent I was going off on. Okay, if these are still ongoing sightings, so I'm going to jump kind of ahead. But back then, I understand the intimidation factor. And this is one of those things that the little skeptic in the back of my head goes, with today's society, I don't see how this could still be happening with everybody constantly using their damn cell phone, even if it was by accident. I understand you say, don't take a picture of me and I'm going to throw you across the room. First of all, most teenagers would go,
He just touched on the biggest question I bring up in every time we bring up this talk in a conference.
Yes.
The biggest mystery is not if Mothman real or MIB real.
Or Bigfoot.
Or Bigfoot. The biggest mystery is why when these people see these people, they look for the worst damn camera they have. Even though they got 1080p 4K right here. No, honey, bring me the VHS camcorder from 1982, please. I got to film this mystery. I don't get it. That's the mystery that all of us paranormal investigators have to double down on. I don't care what anyone says.
Well, I want to add one to that. Now I want to double down on the paranormal investigators, and this has nothing. This is Mothman. This is anything, especially UFO sightings. So I have yet to ever see a video taken of a UFO sighting where you actually watched it fly out of frame, out of distance. Somebody always decides to shut their damn camera off. Always.
Yeah. That too.
Yeah, that.
Or never zoom in. Or zoom in too much.
Yeah. So that always bugged me. Now, I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here. The connection you made earlier between Bigfoot and UFOs. I'm not saying, do not in any way interpret this as me saying Bigfoot is not a real cryptid creature that, yes, you can follow through the woods if you're so inclined to walk that far. I am becoming more and more convinced the reason we don't have better evidence and possibly better photos, I don't think they're of this dimension.
I have two running theories. The one that I really stick to, she doesn't agree with, and that Bigfoot is the ghost of a caveman. Because every Bigfoot sighting I hear and every video I see reminds me of ghost videos. Like it's there, it goes behind a tree and disappears.
I agree with that part of your theory. I just tend to lean more towards it being more, we'll call it interactive, meaning throwing rocks, shit like that, banging on trees. So that's why. But now when I say that, people say, well, there are arguments against it usually indicate that means it's traveling. No, I think it's accidentally happening. Now let's tackle UFOs. What if, and actually I've had authors and people like that present this theory to me. To get here, okay, UFOs might be from way, way far away, or there may just be another dimension of right where we are. Either way, to beat the whole speed of light problem, they use interdimensional travel. Now, if you go with that hypothesis, that would mean basically anytime I think anytime you move from one dimension to another, you're going to poke a little hole, if you will, and in case of a UFO, big hole, in space fabric, for to use the movie terminology. Now, if you had a UFO fly through, do whatever it does to get here, there's a UFO sighting. But if it tore, quote unquote, tore the interdimensional fabric, the veil, as you ghost hunters like to call it, then Bigfoot could just wander right through accidentally. He was going to shit behind that tree you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that I kind of see that with Mothman. I feel like he kind of crept in, through a little hole, and now we're starting to see some other sightings. And I think same thing, like somehow they were able to come through some type of, dimension, because like they're not of this world. So to me, that makes sense. Some of these cryptids.
For a long time, I bought into the common thing where people, there's just a lot of space. There's a lot of places for Bigfoot to hide. There's a lot of places. Those spaces are getting smaller and smaller.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Joshua Cutchin at Dragon Con, he's one of our friends who was speaking there. He brought up the fact that it could be just, like you said, time travel. And from
I didn't say time travel. I did not say time travel.
He said interdimension.
Okay,
and,
okay.
And when Joshua brought in interdimension, he also put in time travel because he thinks dimensions are time.
I'm a multiverse guy. Go ahead.
Yeah. And he thought that maybe that it could be just a way that they think of presenting themselves because they're not entirely sure what time or dimension that they're in. And they think sometimes they pop up thinking that they're in a much older time than they are. And that was just a weird little theory. But I was like, so in other words, they're making a mistake.
Yes, I flew across the universe, across time and space to meet you, and fucking didn't set my watch. Yeah.
Hey, that would be me. 2 beers in, I get in the UFO, like, oh, wait, oh, wow, okay, 2023 BC. Oh, wrong 2023, damn it.
Okay, we've got time now. I do want, what is your most fascinating or weirdest Mothman story that you wanted to tell? You brought that up.
Not Mothman, but Men in Black.
Okay, Men in Black.
Dan Aykroyd.
That's right. We did veer off topic there. Go ahead.
Dan Aykroyd was working on a UFO show. I think this was late 90s, early 2000s.
I think it was 2006. I'm pretty sure 2006.
He was working on a UFO show that actually had a lot of he says now that a lot of the video that was now released by the government was in that show. And it was supposed to come out. He had a contract with the TV network and everything. And he was there that day to sign the paperwork. And so they were going to go print the paperwork. So he was going to go, he went downstairs, it was in New York. He went downstairs to take a smoke and saw these guys in suits walk in. Now, he said it didn't strike him as Men in Black at first because everyone's walking in there in suits and stuff. But when they came out, he saw them get in one of those classic vehicles that they're known of being in. And he also realized they were quite tall. And when he went back into the office, and they were ready to sign a multi-season deal with him and everything. The executive in charge told him, nope, we're shelving it. We're putting it up. That was done. He goes, the gentleman came, talked to me. It's done. We're not doing anything.
Yeah, it was a documentary for the Sci-Fi Channel. That and they had already had eight episodes in the can. Yeah,
and he was hosting and being part of the investigation team on that show and everything. And to this day, they can't release it. They won't release it.
Yeah.
Even though Aykroyd says that a lot of the evidence that was in the show is already out now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really wondering what triggered them. I mean, I'm pretty sure MIB went in there and threatened him with government and all that stuff. But I'm really curious what it was that at the time they didn't want him to talk about. And like he says, he's talked about it. He's talked about everything that's in that show.
Of course, I've never been able to wrap my head around what they wouldn't want us talking about anyway. You know, because it'll destroy. Really, people will panic. I think we've proved through the last 4 or 5 years now that we do go nuts, but it's not over the
no.
Yeah, I in other words, if the government comes out tomorrow and says, okay, yeah, we admit it, aliens are real. We've got them on speed dial. They're here to be your overlords. Hey, it's really not that much worse. Probably. But I know religiously, and I was
freak out the people in Detroit.
What was that?
That it definitely wouldn't freak out the people in Detroit.
I mean, maybe some tribe in Congo or something, but and probably maybe the Baptists because but
okay, everything freaks them out.
But I'm just saying, I don't see that being at this point in time. For the last since 2000, maybe 90, since Windows came out. We'll go back to 95. We'll go back to 93. I think people are. Maybe it's because I'm exposed to this stuff so much, but I just think there are so many people wanting. They would rather have the answers that they don't like, rather than just not know.
Yeah. And I think the cat's really already out of the bag, pretty much.
We've got somebody in the chat room right now. I know it's Jay Godbold, even though his name ain't showing up, and he is saying everything is bullshit. Bigfoot's not real. Mothman's not real. There are no UFOs, because that's his mindset, and that's wonderful. We love him.
To quote George Carlin, everything's bad for you and will give you cancer.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's my body's
the MIB.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think the MIB had a bigger impact back in like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, but now we're living in this digital world that I don't think their influence is as effective anymore. And I want to say that I feel like that's why we don't have seen many reports of them. There are some, but not like it was back in like the 50s.
Now most of the reports have to do with nuclear stuff, like sightings by nuclear power plants and nuclear military bases that have nuclear capabilities. That's mostly where the MIB are popping up now.
Okay, now, without going too deep into that, I mean, you say they're showing up like at Wendy's? I mean, what are you going to ask somebody just because they happen to live next to the nuclear power plant?
I don't know, man, but I hope they show up at Starbucks.
Well, that was uniquely unhelpful. Go ahead, Christina.
One of the reports was it was in the 2000s, I think, at a 2009 at Niagara Falls, at a Niagara Falls hotel. There was 2 big tall guys. They got video of this. They came through the door, broad daylight. These guys just came in. There was patrons running around and everything. So these guys, they're not afraid to come out in broad daylight. And when they walk through the door, you can see how tall they are. they're not like they're pretty close to the top of the door frame walking inside. And the story goes with that one is that some of the employees there had a couple of UFO sightings there, and in like October that year. And so they came in there looking for the manager, and the guy working that day is like, he ain't here. And so he described to his manager the next day, he's like, they were extremely weird looking. They both dressed the same. They had black trench coats, black hats, white shirts. And he was just really intimidated by them, really freaked out. Like, and the guys, he said, my manager's not here. And they wouldn't believe him. They kept like kind of looking around and trying to see. And finally they left. But yeah, that was one of the MIB sightings in 2009. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Time for more shameless promotion. Let's get the little. It's right there. All right. Hit the button. Okay, now. Spirit Mechanics, spiritmechanics.com. My friends over at Spirit Mechanics, the whole slew of them, I've been telling you they've moved to a brick and mortar building now. You don't just have to hunt them down at the local mystical fair or whatever you happen to be going to. Let me see. I actually wrote this out. They've got a big event coming up. January 8th at their new location at 1510 Newtown Pike in with the Jewel Phoenix. They're doing a seminar, a speech, whatever, however they do it, a class. I believe they're calling it a class. Introduction to Connecting with Your Guides and Angels. I believe it starts at 4:30. You can go look them up on Facebook. You make sure they're also up until that time throughout the day. Joni Khan will be doing readings. One of my favorite psychics, one of like two that I go to nowadays. So I've kind of cut the list down. But yeah, January 8th, mark that on your calendar, 1510 Newtown Pike. And if you miss that, at least come see him the next weekend at the Central Kentucky Mystical Market on the 14th and 15th. Now, we're ready to do our small announcements. Okay, somebody in the chat room did that. Go ahead and you flip that over. Dates are October 20th through 22nd, the weekend before Halloween, just like we promised. Tickets are not on sale yet. I haven't been on Facebook for 2 hours. It could be by now because I'm so far out of the loop. The problem we ran into, and I'm going to go ahead and give you all a heads up about this. The reason they didn't go on up, we've been trying to find at the last possible damn minute a cheaper way to sell you all tickets. Our platform, like everything else in the United States of America and the greater Earth in general, is raising the processing fees. And there's not much we can do about it. So we're going to try to come out and smell like the good guys on this. We're not going to raise the tickets like we originally thought we were. Some of them might have to go up a little bit, but we're going to try to hold back on the price increases to make up for the ticket platform itself. But we're working. We had a big, I'll put it this way. We had a meeting that was much larger than my bladder last night. So I had to leave for a little while. But I just want to give you all a heads up on that. Tickets are ready to go on sale. We're just trying to get the platform set and make sure that we don't go in the hole while at the same time not making you overpay for our tickets. So there. I just wanted to share that with you. And the Central Kentucky Mystical Market is coming up, I believe I said 14th and 15th, didn't I? Mm-hmm. Weekend after the 8th. There, that was easy. That's at the Clarion Hotel, Central Kentucky Mystical Market, Lexington, Kentucky. Not in the back of the building, not in the conference room we usually use. You have to go in the front of the building. We don't have to. You can get to it from the back. Shortcuts go in the front. But it's called the Paddock. Yes. The Paddock Ballroom, I guess, maybe. But anyway, look them up on, we haven't updated the calendar on the website, but look them up on Facebook, Central Kentucky Mystical Market. And if you're into the metaphysical, if you're into getting readings, if you're into just actually crafts, a lot of good homemade artisans and craftsmen there bringing a lot of interesting stuff. Okay, I do have to touch back one time, and I think now I know why you use the word. But early in the description of the Men in Black, Christina, you used the word Nordic looking. Nordic looking. And of course, my mind went to Thor right away. So now, tell me why you chose to use that word.
So there's actually like a species of aliens, and they're called Nordics, and they're probably the most similar to us in, features and physiology. Generally, they're pretty tall. They have blonde hair, blue eyes. Their skin's really, really pale. And they're kind of some people think that they kind of are looking out for us and our well-being, but then others are kind of confused of what their actual goals are. And so that's why these Nordics kind of look like the MIB, a lot of the reports. So that's why I mentioned the Nordics.
Okay, because I went totally off the rails with Thor in bright red lipstick. I'm just going to put that out there.
That's interesting.
You probably wouldn't be too far off.
Well, I'm just saying that's the way that that's the way it came through my little processor here.
On our website, we have an episode of the podcast called the Vrillon Speech, and the main picture is a kind of a depiction of a Nordic alien.
How many alien species are we up to now, by the way? Just ballpark it. You don't have to be. I won't.
Probably more than 20 now.
Oh shit! That does explain.
Yeah,
That does.
A lot of them are similar. I mean, they'll it's like they have the grays now purple, and they call them something else, but it's just a different color.
Yeah, grays and the greens, and I'm like, are you sure they're not the same thing? And maybe it's kind of like how we have different skin tones,
Right, and
it could be that.
And the Incredible Hulk was originally gray. Just saying,
Yep.
little. In other words, it could just be a printer problem.
Wow.
Superman blue ended up being black one time. I mean, same with Spider-Man's blue ended up being black, and some.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Some people.
comic
Yeah.
stuff.
I was gonna say some people might argue that there's more than that, but when you listen to their descriptions and what they, kind of draw of what these specific alien species are, I'm like, you made that up. That like, did you pull that out of your ass? Like, you have no premise for this.
What was that book that we were listening to?
Yeah,
Oh my god, that guy's a nutcase.
He had, I think it was probably over 150 different alien
Okay.
species.
Now, to that guy, even to 20. Here's my problem. Now, I'm not, honestly, I really don't doubt that we don't have some alien spies farting around doing stuff. It explains a lot. I'll just put it that way. But at some point, you have to say, what is so special about this place that we're drawing so much damned attention? Because I do believe in the infinite universe. In other words, yes, we haven't found another planet like Earth exactly. But if you do the math, if you believe there's an infinite number of galaxies and that have a bazillion planets in them, statistically, there's going to be some more interesting planets than us.
Oh, yeah.
And
But they
Can't
don't
be the
have
only accident.
yeah,
They don't have tacos.
they don't what?
They don't have tacos.
Oh.
That's why the aliens come. They come for tacos, man.
Statistically, there's probably somebody that not only has tacos, they give you orgasms. The tacos are that good. Okay, if you believe in the infinite universe, I've seen Facebook. That's my thing. I cannot believe that we could draw that much attention from that many species. Now, I'm not saying we couldn't fascinate half a dozen, maybe, because,
Look at these idiots.
yeah, we could, who was it that, some TV show or movie, said basically, we're just a damn sitcom.
Yeah, they're watching a reality show and
Remember,
they got a pandemic.
We went from pandemic to World War III in less than one season.
Like, what's gonna happen next, you guys?
And actually,
I mean,
that does go back to the after you. Okay, when you have a story, you have maybe 1, 2, 3 seasons of really you tell the story in that amount of time, and then if you get renewed, then you got to start coming up with better and better shit, and it's got to be unexpected. Yeah, I get that.
I mean, we rocked 2 seasons of pandemic, and we went and attacked Ukraine before we got used to the pandemic being over. Well, we didn't. Russia did,
Right.
But still.
And then we made the monkeypox.
Oh yeah, I forgot about monkeypox.
Yeah, I think everybody did.
Yeah. Well, okay. Once again, terrible, terrible disease. I'm going to treat it very seriously, but it. Of course, I can't even politically correctly say it's, a confined population because, people do rub each other and touch each other, and the confined population. I get it. I'm not going to go there, but at the same time, I know nobody with monkeypox. I do know.
Same here.
I do know people with.
Yeah.
I know lots of people that's had COVID. So I think they should have stretched it out for another season, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, now they're bringing COVID 2.0 with that respiratory disease thing that the kids are getting.
Well, see, that's been a while. That's been around a while. It's just.
Yeah, but it's making a return. It's the reunion tour for it or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure next we're going to probably bring up measles again.
I'm going straight for polio at this point. I think, just. We need something that draws headlines.
Well, and don't forget, a couple months they said it was creeping back. So I mean, the CDC is like running bets now, probably like Vegas or something. What's next?
We don't love to. They get on Cabin in the Woods with the chalkboard.
Mm-hmm.
Who had Bigfoot polio? Okay. What else? Okay, we got a few minutes before we go to our.
I told you, it'll always go.
I like it. I love it. What else? What else do you try to share with your seminar when you talk about the Men in Black? Because I know everyone's not in the audience heckling you like I am.
No, they are. You should go check us out at Dragon Con. We're doing it in front of a bunch of drunk people on Sunday morning.
Well, okay. That's not the worst idea I've had this so far. Okay. But
we bring up in this newer version of it that we did, we brought up a lot about the alien species. Christina really broke that down, because when you really start going down the MIB Black rabbit hole, they start showing up with a lot of cases of close encounters of the third kind and some rumored fourth kind encounters, but there's really little to no proof about it. But that's when they start bringing out the alien species. And one of the ones that's being talked about a lot now is those gnomes, those cave gnomes out in Hilliard, Kentucky.
Okay.
And that was the one where Men in Black started showing up again, but it started tying back into the Mothman type scenario with bringing in Indrid Cold and all those. It's like the Men in Black sightings started coming back to the way it was in the late 60s, where they were getting very authoritarian and very aggressive to the people that they were interviewing. And that brought up to me like the whole, I started going down the rabbit hole of the whole hollow earth thing, but not so much that, the whole earth is hollow, but the thing that there's actual like communities and stuff in the caves, and not just of gnomes and people, gnomes and like alien type creatures, but also just people in general who've been living in the caves and their bodies started adapting to it, or maybe evolving, to use that word. And it's opened up a big discussion between me and some of my friends who like to talk about this stuff, because we know that there's people living like in the abandoned subway tunnels in New York and stuff.
Sure.
And what if some of these people that we're calling the gnomes and all this stuff are not really gnomes or aliens, but they're more like feral people? And for some reason, the powers that be just wants to leave them alone. don't mess with them. Not necessarily like they're aliens or anything like that, or that they're lizard people or something that wants to take over the world, but it's kind of like, for some reason, that they may have made a treaty with them, and that's why we're able to mine uranium and stuff like that. Some weird thing like that, but there's no proof. There's nothing out there in the evidence saying that the government really had anything involvement with it. And there's no evidence really saying that these are just like feral people or aliens at all. But people who have encountered these people or these creatures have been being visited by Men in Black or government entity. Some have even said not just Men in Black, but people from the federal government, like FBI, CIA, have actually visited them. So,
okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's just a weird thing.
Okay, I've got one more question from one of the chat rooms, and it's actually the only real question anybody's asked tonight. Okay, other than just making snarky comments like I do. Okay, if the Men in Black are making all these threats that we've talked about, they're intimidating these people, how do the stories actually come out? Are they well after the fact? And even taking that into context, apparently they're not so tough because they're not living up to their threats.
Well, the ones that maybe have living up to their threats, we don't know about because the people are dead. But
yeah, there are a couple of reports of, really in-depth UFO researchers, and I guess they were threatened, and all of a sudden somebody discovered their body at home, and they said, oh, it was a suicide. But
there's a couple of them that have been shot from the back too, the back of the head. So, like an execution type killing.
There's your answer.
But then there are some people who seem to not be afraid, and days after their encounter, they start talking about it. I mean, there are people who are just not intimidated.
And if they had been less intimidated, we'd have a photograph of the sons of bitches right now. Okay, final commercial break.
Okay, but there is a photograph.
There's like one, and then there's like the video. They got the video. But the famous one, God, that one was years ago. And that had to do with a couple. The lady, she was a psychic. The wife was a psychic, and was really into that. Yeah, but so she kept saying, there's this guy that I keep seeing outside across from our apartment, just hanging out there, staring up at our apartment, being all creepy and everything. So she kind of told some friends, and they're like, okay, we'll do a drive-by and see if we can't see what this guy is and take a picture of him. I kid you not, they got a photograph of this guy, and the way it looks
it's clear.
It's pretty clear for it was 1968. Of course, it's black and white.
And we can't do that in 2022 now.
Yeah. And he's standing up against kind of like a pillar, complete typical MIB garb, black hat, black suit, black shoes. And this guy, it was Timothy Beckley and Jim Mosley. They were kind of, one guy was driving and the other one was taking the photo. So this photo was taken while they were driving. And I don't know, this guy is like just an amazing photographer, but
the rangefinder camera too.
Yeah, so I don't know. So, he got lucky, but
so the moral of the story is I should have Googled this before and then the interview. Yeah, okay. In other words, I can pop a photo up on the screen and say, there's your proof. Anyway, everybody, we'll be back after our commercial break and our Bonehead Weekly movie review.
Horror. Movie. Fans. 4. Life. On Facebook. Find us. 4 watch parties. 4 news. 4 memes. For friends. For life. Horror movie fans for life. Join us.
Hey, Scarefest fans, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly, and now I've got to wish you happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa bot, whatever it is you celebrate. I hope you have a good one. Try to drink a few, little bit of a sips, but not too much, and try not to drive. Or Krampus will come get you. We're going to talk about 2015's Krampus, but really quick, if you actually want to go see a holiday movie right now, and I'm not going to review it, even though I loved it, you go see Violent Night. That's a lot of fun with David Harbour, but it's not really a horror film, so we're going to talk about 2015's Krampus. 2015's Krampus. It is written and directed by Michael Dougherty, and Michael Dougherty gave us the amazing Trick or Treat, and this was his follow-up several years later. And if you're not familiar with Krampus, Krampus is one of those German kind of things where he's the anti-Santa Claus, and it's about a little boy who's having a bad Christmas, and he accidentally summons a festive demon to his family home. That's the short version. This movie is fantastic with an absolute all-star cast. Toni Collette could do no wrong. She can do no wrong. She's a fantastic actress. David Koechner, one of the nicest, funniest people I've ever met. I had the pleasure of meeting. Adam Scott, funny in this. Everyone's good in this. But it just doesn't end well for anyone. So it's just about a dysfunctional family that's clashing over the holidays, and the little boy just gets disillusioned, and he turns his back on Christmas. And that's when they release the Wrath of Krampus. And he's basically, if you don't know about Krampus, I think probably most of you do, it's like an ancient evil who punishes non-believers and little bad kids. And you see him like you've seen them, maybe the old German art where he's got the little kid, he's got a long forked tongue, and blah, 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 blah. And he's sticking the kid into a sack to take him off and beat them. Yeah. And now they're stuck in their house and they can't get away. There's a snowstorm. They're out there. None of them like each other. And there's a grandma in the house, grandmother, who's German, and she knows that this is Krampus and attacking them. It's not too terrifying. So you can't, it's PG-13. It's around that edge, depending on where you show your kids, but it was not, though. It's not too terrifying. It's not a ton of blood and guts, but it's a lot of fun. And it's a good follow-up to his Michael Dougherty's original Trick or Treat. I like it a lot. And it has the all-star cast. Most of you've probably already seen it, but you can watch it on the streaming. But let's just say, if you're looking for another holiday film, The Gremlins get you in the mood for Christmas. I think Gremlins is a Christmas movie. And if you're going out, be safe. Have fun drinking. And go see Violent Night. Violent Night's a lot of fun. I know I'm here to tell you that Krampus and Christmas movies, and that's not necessarily a horror film, but it's got a lot of blood in it, a lot of blood and guts in Violent Night. Check out Krampus 2015's. A suburban family goes to hell, attacked by Krampus. It's not a big review for me to do. This has been Joe Lewis. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I hope to see some of you next year. Don't suck.
And welcome back, everybody, to the last few moments of Scarefest TV for December 23rd, 2022. I do want to pop up that before we go to end credits, by the way. Now, tell the fans what we were talking about UFO sightings, what we had experienced. Now, tell them about the UFO shutting the lights off.
Okay, this was 92, 93, somewhere around there. And at the time, I was living in San Jose, Costa Rica. And my cousin and I and my aunt were, there's a park by the house that I used to live in. And a bunch of people were screaming and yelling, saying that they were seeing a UFO. So we went out and decided to take a look at it. And my cousin videoed it. And to this day, I want to see the video again, but none of us have a VHS recorder anymore. But the thing is that the UFO,
I can sell you one. Go ahead.
The San Jose, Costa Rica is inside a mountain caldera, so it's a valley inside, surrounded by mountains. And we were able to see the UFO fly to the sides of the mountains and over some neighborhoods and little cities, little towns, like neighborhoods of Costa Rica. in San Jose. And every time it flew over an area of roughly around 10 blocks, the power would go out. And then when it flew past it, the power would come back on, excuse me. But the power in the next neighborhood and areas would go out. And it was just doing that, flying around the whole caldera. Even when it flew over us, the power went out in our neighborhood and shut down the video camera.
Okay.
And it kept going around.
Now,
and it did that for about 30 minutes.
This is why I'm such a douchebag when it comes to talking about the paranormal. Everything fits for me. I'm not saying I know everything, but everything that if I get a direct eyewitness account that's believable, it all fits. Now, on TV for years, we've watched ghost hunters say, here, take, you know, they drained our batteries. They stole the energy from our batteries. Like ghosts need your fucking AAA batteries. We've been telling ghost stories a long damn time. But if I'm right, and this goes back to what I said about Bigfoot too, if it is a form of interdimensional travel that creates a localized EMF field, it could drain, especially items that you're using, like a digital recorder, flashlight, whatever. But it would not necessarily drain the ones in your pocket. A localized EMF field could knock out the power to a neighborhood temporarily until the grid refilled, or however that works. So once again, it all ties together, and I guarantee you there's a Kentucky connection. We established that with the little creatures over in
well, it tracks, man. Think about it. For something like that to work, it would probably necessarily have to be electromagnetic power anyway, considering that it's not making a noise using jet engines or anything like that.
What did it look like?
It actually looked like the Tic Tac, like one ball of light.
So it was a ball of light.
Well, no, we could tell it was something that was not, that we were able to tell that it had material, but it was just bright, that it looked like a ball of light. It wasn't until it came by us where we lost sight of it, because under it, it didn't reflect the light. But when it passed by us again, we were able to see the light.
Okay, we got a couple minutes. Tell everybody how. Now, I did not see any recent podcast out of you all. Where are you in the podcasting world right now?
We're kicking back on. She took her trip to Europe.
Yeah. I just got back from Germany, so now we're getting back on the ball with everything.
We should have one up by the beginning of the year again, and be back.
Well, then tell everybody how to find your stuff. Do a little shameless self-promotion.
Shameless self-promotion. You can find us at atlradiox.com. And over there, you can literally connect to everything. Our social medias, her personal one, my personal one, and then the station's the station's page. We have our online shop, which will be opening back up in the beginning of the year, where you can get all of our merch, including soap, candles, wax melts, paranormal thingy, metaphysical thingies, all that stuff. Coffee cups, and soon coffee again. We'll be selling again. You can also listen to our online 24/7 radio station, where you hear us talk and play metal and rock music. And we will also be, from time to time, promoting some of our friends' horror films that are coming out soon too, like Hannah Fearman stuff and all that. And then Christina's got her YouTube channel, whatever it was, coming back up soon.
Yeah, Booze and Brews.
Yeah. And it's coffee, though, beer. So
Sorry, it's coffee and ghosts.
See, now I made the assumption. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. So there you've got your shameless plug in, everybody. Go ahead and pop that over. I do want to remind everybody, hey, if you're home next Friday night.